All right, looks like folks are starting to join us. Welcome. Welcome,
Okay.
everyone. As you come in, let's see, what's a good question I can ask today? Tell me where you're from without telling me where you're from. Give me one food or dish that is native to where you're from. I'll go first. Clam chowder, baked beans. I think it probably doesn't help that I just realized I have a Red Sox hat sitting there.
Yeah, that one was easy, Michelle.
I know. What about you, Jim? What's native to where you're from?
Okay, so we're just going for the state or we're going for a city?
I mean, it could be. You can get as local as you can.
Uh, let's see. It'll be good if someone can get this. Home of Uncle Sam. I'm close to home of Uncle Sam. Oh, here's another one. Um, Horse racing.
Not a food, but we'll take it.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be a
Unless you're
food, right?
eating the horses.
Here's a food. It's where potato chips were invented.
Oh, you know what? Okay. Anyone have a guess? I mean, I think Belgium.
No,
That's
definitely
what
not coming from
Anthony said.
Belgium.
Chipped ham. Where's that from?
Someone guessed Louisville.
Yeah.
Let's see. So
Steak.
for those that don't know, potato chips were invented in Saratoga Springs, New York.
Very cool. I
Yeah.
actually had some chips recently that said Saratoga on them. I didn't know they were invented there, though.
Yep.
Very
So
cool.
yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So we got more people jumping in here, Michelle.
There are a couple trickling in. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so.
Okay. Sounds good.
And while we will do that, yes, this webinar is being recorded and we will share it with you after. I get that question a lot. So I'm going to make sure you guys know that will be available after this.
Oh,
You got to
sorry,
start.
Michelle. I was distracted because Matthew Fitzpatrick just said I was just in Saratoga and Lake George over the weekend. And that's actually where I am. So we go back and forth between Saratoga and Lake George. I'm actually technically in Lake George today, in Bolton. So Matthew, where in Lake George? Like the village? I'm in Bolton Landing. Off at exit. Okay. So you were Saratoga exit 1213. Got it. Cool.
Awesome. All
Good
right.
stuff.
Well, we should maybe kick it off. I mean, if you want to continue the conversation, feel free. But also, if you have questions, you can add them in there or to the Q&A.
Yeah.
And we'll get started.
When you get talking about
Mhm.
Saratoga and Lake George, they can get
Yeah,
distracted off topic pretty fast. So
understandable.
yeah. Okay. So we shall get going. So first, welcome everyone. Really appreciate you being here for this webinar about Respond for Google Workspace. So this is an exciting time for us. We've had to respond for Microsoft now for the better part of 2 years, and we have had partners that have been asking us for Respond for Google, and we're happy to say that we now have it available. And this webinar, the objective of this webinar is to share with you what you're capable of doing with Respond for Google Workspace. So with that being said, we'll just jump right in. Joining me today is Liron Barron, our Vice President of Product and Engineering. Welcome, Liron.
Thank you, Jim.
So we're your presenters today. One of the things that we do here at SaaS Alerts, if you've ever been to one of our webinars or you've heard me speak somewhere, we always talk about our why. We have a why statement here at SaaS Alerts. We like to let people know why we exist as an organization, and we simply believe that there's a transition underway from an on-premise and device-centric approach to user to a user-centric and approach to cybersecurity. The SaaS Alerts helps MSPs win on this transition. So it's funny, I was actually, true story, yesterday I got a text message from a guy that I used to work with who now works at Google, coincidentally. And he's doing this week a presentation on winning on the transition. And he said when he Googled it, the first thing that came up was one of our SaaS Alerts blogs. So Michelle, it's pretty cool, I think. So with that being said, we just like everyone to know why we exist and the fact that we are here for you, the MSP. I'm a former MSP myself, so everything here at SaaS Alerts is done with helping MSPs in mind. So just a few things in terms of sharing with you where we're at from a numbers perspective. We're now actually at 1,100 partners, or very, very close to 1,100 partners. We monitor over 2.6 million accounts, and we've, on an annual basis, and this is growing exponentially at this point, we review over 3 billion security events on behalf of those 1,100 MSPs. So if you're not familiar with SaaS Alerts, there's 3 core modules to the platform. So the first one is manage, and inside manage, you have something called Fortify. Fortify is where we do 365 configuration management. You're able to baseline your security score, see all of the recommended actions associated with those license types, the 365 license type, to maximize your Microsoft security score. And then with a click of a button, you can actually make all of those, or the ones you choose at least, recommended actions. You can put them into place and maximize that score on behalf of your customer. So a lot of really cool things you can do with Fortify. Also, we've got App Wizard in Fortify, which allows us to add any third-party SaaS application with a viable API to the platform. We also have Unify in Manage as well. Unify is actually where we read the RMM agent and we correlate it with the SaaS account information. So that's all done and managed. Then the second module is called Report. And this is where you can demonstrate the value that you're providing every single day to your customer. We always talk about the fact that, it's easier to show somebody what you're doing as opposed to telling them what you're doing for them. And seeing is believing when you're able to actually put it in nice graphs and nice reports. Respond is the third module, and we developed it again for Microsoft first, and now we have it for Google, which we're talking about today. These are all the integrations that we have as of today. And we'll be adding, in Q3, we'll be adding at least probably another half dozen or so. So this list continues to grow. So from a Google Workspace threat landscape perspective, we've got 360 million security events logged. 4 million of those are critical alerts, and 52% of them actually happen to be IAM events, so outside approved locations. And Liron, you want to share that stat with me that that we talked about earlier today in regards to how big the Google Workspace market is at this point?
Sure. So in researching and preparing for this presentation, I wanted to know what the market share split was. And I think like many of you, I was fully expecting Microsoft to be ahead of the curve. But according to a Statista article, as of February 2024, 44% of the market is controlled by the Google Office suite, while Microsoft is around 30%. I would want to look into this a little bit more, but I find that very, very surprising that the market opportunity for the Google Workspace realm is so big.
Yeah, look, I would find it hard to believe that those numbers are 100% accurate. That being said, I do believe in the Microsoft ecosystem, or I should say the MSP ecosystem that's so dominated by Microsoft, we tend to underestimate what the market opportunity is for Google. And one of the outcomes, hopefully, of this webinar for you and this solution is that you're able to extend your addressable market with a solution like Respond for Google. Because now you can go to, essentially, let's face it, there's 2 productivity apps on the planet, or 2 productivity suites. It's either 365 or it's Google. And now with this, you have the opportunity to service both of those types of customers. And that certainly extends your market opportunity. So with that, Leron, you want to get into essentially the nuts and bolts of what we're doing here with Respond for Google Workspace?
Sure. So as far as the Google Workspace security and events that we're monitoring, most of you are familiar with, I think last I checked, 299 different events that we monitor. And a good portion of those are part of the Google ecosystem. So some of the monitoring and alerting that we have are successful logins from unapproved locations, what we refer to as outside approved location, or OAL, internal or external data exfiltration, risky file sharing practices, unauthorized OAuth connections with third-party applications such as TikTok. You may want to keep an eye on things like that. I know that we had a TikTok situation here that we dealt with fairly quickly. Security configuration changes and when admin access is granted. Like, these are the most important things in our view in terms of the things to monitor. And this is all data that is available via SaaS Alerts and now, therefore, actionable via Respond. So for those of you that are not familiar, what Respond allows you to do is it allows you to create an action reaction. So if this happens, then do this, right? As Jim said, this was previously available for Microsoft, but is now available for Google. So what that means is I can go into Google and I can identify one event or a combination of events. I can apply some filter criteria, and then I can do something like block the sign-in. My favorite example of this is from one of our partners who they were dealing with some sort of breach situation, and they basically noticed this pattern where they were seeing logins from Lagos, Nigeria, followed by a VPN login in the United States. Now, when I talked to them about this, I said, why don't you just do the outside approved location? And they're like, well, we'll show you why. They showed me that they were getting like 1,200 outside approved locations in like the morning alone, right? So for them, they added this additional layer on top of it to really fine grain, right? So they're watching what's happening, they're identifying the patterns, and sort of like an immune system, they're then going in and building rules in order to handle those things. All right, next slide, please. All right, so the automated threat response, it reduces reaction time and it minimizes the damage. Based on the IBM security report that they release on an annual basis, the average time to detect a cybersecurity breach is about 200 days, which is really long time, right? With Respond, you're able to react to these sorts of situations once you set up the rule in a matter of almost instantaneously, right? If Jim were to log in right now from Lagos, Nigeria, he would get kicked out of his SaaS Alerts work email. That's the way that we've set it up. And for some of our partners, right, they've been able to shave 95 to 98% off of their response time because it just kind of happens automatically. And for Chad, who I think is on this call, right, for every phishing attempt they catch with SaaS Alerts, the team saves 4 to 5 hours of work. We have one partner who joins the SASE call, which is our weekly call on a weekly basis. And he continuously tells us that, you know, he actually makes more money dealing with breaches because of the amount of hours that goes into it, but it's just not good for the customer, right? To deal with this, and you can put respond rules in front of this in order to protect your customers.
Yeah, pretty impressive quote there and stat from Chad.
Let's go to the next slide, please. So the most classic example, and that's, I'll be building a live rule here shortly, is to deal with suspicious logins. The best way, in our experience, to do this is to monitor behavior using your ticketing system or inside of the application. Look at the critical alerts and try to identify patterns. Classic example is that Lagos, Nigeria, followed up by a VPN login in the United States. You see the pattern. Now you ask yourself, how do I go about building this? And so that's what we're going to be doing. And here's a quote from one of our partners. And that is, by the time I saw it, the sign-in was blocked, the password was changed, and the risk had been mitigated right away. It would have been a big deal if that automation wasn't there. And that's from Kirolis Abdallah. You want me to go straight to the demo? You skipped that last slide on purpose?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. So 74% of all breaches include the human element. And when we talk about security here inside of SaaS Alerts, we talk about the human element. That is what we are trying to protect against, whether it's a privilege misuse or use of social stolen credentials. But we still believe that social engineering is the best way to attack an organization. And quote here from Chad, most clients have no clue what's going on behind the scenes of their organization when it comes to IT security. I recently had a client with 120 third-party applications connected to their Google Workspace account. I wouldn't see that without a tool like SaaS Alerts, right? And end users, right? They see a plugin that could save them 3 minutes one time. They're going to add that Chrome extension or whatever it is. And that Chrome extension could be sitting in the middle of all of the activity that's taken place. So that's something that we definitely want to monitor. All right,
Hey, everyone. I'm going to stop sharing so you can go ahead and do the demo.
All right, thanks. All right, can you guys see respond rules?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So before we jump in, just wanted to note that as of this week, 90% of our partners are using Respond, which is an amazing statistic for us. Because as Jim said, we have nearly 1,100 partners. So that means nearly 1,000 partners are using Respond to protect their customers. And another kind of interesting thing I saw with the Google Workspace rules is that most people took their Microsoft rules and simply went in and just added Google, which is probably, depending how many rules you had, it probably took you 2 or 3 minutes per rule. And you just kind of add an entirely different layer, a brand new layer of protection for your Google Workspace organizations. So the rule that I'm going to be building is a rule that's designed to deal with suspicious logins, right? So what I'm going to be looking for is an outside approved location login followed up by a suspicious authentication success. And what this basically means is what we've seen hackers do is they attack from other countries. It's a lot cheaper to spin up virtual servers in other places, attack, get in, and then in order to not raise continuous suspicion, they will VPN, Tor, or do something else inside of the United States. So let's go and build a rule to deal with this. So I'm going to call my rule what we affectionately refer to as OAL, or outside approved location here. And then for my description, I'm going to say identify OAL login, followed by a malicious login, then expire and block. This is for events. So we do have the ability to build automated rules to clean up accounts that haven't logged in and say something like 90 days. But in this case, I want to create one based on events or what a particular account is doing. So I'm going to select Microsoft and G Suite. We have an active project to rename G Suite. We've been around long enough where when SaaS Alerts started, it was G Suite. It's now Google Workspace. For organizations, you have the ability to select a subset of organizations. So if you wanted to, you could have respond rules for Google, and you could have respond rules for Microsoft by separating them out like this. But it may just be simpler just to do a select all here. And if you do select all, you have the ability to exclude particular organizations. Maybe you have respond as part of your premium pricing tier. And so you could exclude those here. We also want to do this for all accounts. Right? The classic example is CEO of some small company refuses to get MFA or does not want their account locked in under any condition. So hopefully you give them to sign something and then go ahead and exclude the account. And then this is a setting that is somewhat new, but I want to fire the rule only if respond is enabled for the organization. Now we get into the conditions. So this is where respond shines as far as what it is we're going to be doing. So first thing I want to do is I want to catch an outside approved location event. And then I want to add a secondary condition. Right? And I want to do this once in an 8-hour period. And I want an auth success. Once in 8 hours, but for the auth success, I want to add some filters here. So when we generate events, let's do this on the fly.
Pretty bravely, Ron.
I know.
Doing live demo.
Jim, I like to live on the edge.
Yes.
We have 1,100 organizations here. So it takes longer than usual to spin through this data.
Yeah, this is the brave part. You're doing a demo and basically on a live basis in production.
Yeah. Test link. So this is an organization, and what we have here in our data is we enrich the data that we get based on the IP address with this is known abuser, false, is known attacker, false. Data center, true, right? So we kind of have these flags on the data proxy. There's one here for VPN. Here's the there's a VPN score. Here's the VPN. So what I'm going to be doing is I want to catch these where this is true. So I can go in here and say, is anonymous equal to true? Or known abuser? Or known attacker? Or Tor? You get the idea, but I do want to get the VPN in there. All right, so what this says is if I have a login outside approved location, and then I have another login in that 8-hour period where it's either anonymous, known abuser, known attacker, or Tor, or VPN, then we're going to do something. And this is based on a pattern that we've seen of bad actors doing their penetration from outside the United States, then getting in with a domestic server. Right. So if we click the summary tab, Microsoft, G Suite, all orgs, all accounts, only for respond connected orgs. And when the account generates any of the following events one time within 8 hours, this outside approved location and authentication success, where IP address is anonymous or known abuser or known attacker or Tor or VPN. So that's the condition that we're looking for. And in the background, Respond is going to continuously scan the data for all organizations and all accounts in this case, and it's going to look for this pattern. When it identifies this pattern, what we can do is now we can do something, right? So what we recommend, if you're first getting started, is we recommend creating what we call alert only. Prior to that, it was do nothing, just so that you are notified when this happens. As you see these events occur and they're firing and you evaluate them and you decide this is doing exactly what I think it should be doing, now it's time to take it to the next level and approve it manually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expire logins. Then I'm going to block sign in. But let's say I also want to do this for Microsoft. So I'm going to select Microsoft and I'm going to expire the logins in Microsoft. And then I'm going to block sign in Microsoft. So in the background, what Respond is doing is it's going to look at a particular account. We know whether it's a Google Workspace account or a Microsoft account. If it's a Google Workspace account, we're going to take these actions. If it's a Microsoft account, we're going to take these actions. The fact that we've selected approve manually means that Respond is not going to do anything on its own. You're going to receive an event, and that event will tell you this rule here, fired. Here's some additional information about the rule. Click here to approve it. Click here to learn more. And if you have the mobile app, you can also do this via the mobile app. So let's go to the alert configuration. So here I can select critical or medium. We've low is disabled when manual approval is needed. So you can see that. And then when I go to the alert notification, I can choose to do an SMS notification or a mobile app notification. So I have pretty good fine-tuned control over where it's going. We are working on adding an email connector here as well. All right, so we can also look at the summary here. So expire logins, Google, block sign in Google, then Microsoft expirations, and then block sign in on Microsoft as well. And then on the schedule, I'm going to say it is always on. And then in this case, I'm going to save it as a draft. I'm not going to actually turn this on for us. But this is how I would go about building a rule, right? That in summary is looking for outside approved location, followed up by a malicious login. And then I'm going to block and terminate the session for either the Google Workspace or Microsoft accounts. Are there any questions?
Yeah, there was a question. So are we able to set up Google Workspace on for our in-house account, or do we have to pay to spin it up? No, we can give you a free trial. So no problem there. So do you have any documents with an overview I can send to the rest of my team?
I think we do.
We do. Definitely. Michelle, where are we right now with some of the marketing material for Google?
Yeah, we have updated the Google Workspace plan. So that's ready to go. I can send that over. And that's more for you to use with your clients. But I can attach that, and I'll put that in the email that goes out with the recording tomorrow, so you have it all in one place.
Right. And I think this PowerPoint could be helpful too, just so you understand exactly all the things you can do with it.
I also did put a link to our Discord server that has pretty much everything we do. We try to put in there. So if you join that, you definitely would be able to find a lot of these resources.
Great. Anyone else have any questions for Leron? Leron, anything else you want to show in here?
No, I mean, I think that's basically it. We just wanted to make sure that everybody kind of understood that we have bunch of options here on the Google side of the house, and you're able to build rules that incorporate Microsoft and Google. So there's quite a bit of flexibility here.
Great. Okay, so with all that being said, want to be able to share with you how to get started. So you can just basically copy your existing Microsoft rules over to Google Workspace. If you're an existing partner, you already have rules set up. We made it super easy that way. If you have questions, you're an existing partner, just contact your account manager. For those that don't know, we have every other week, I think Tuesdays, Michelle, right at 1:00 Eastern. We have office hours with Anthony Dragar and Ben Jones. That is really helpful for all things technical. Any technical questions whatsoever, that's a good spot to be in. We also have a weekly, what we call a SaaS MSP call, a little more broad, a little more, we touch on best practices and industry trends and security overall, but that's every week, Thursdays at 1:00 for those that don't know. And then for new partners, absolutely, if you want to trial this, you can go to saasalerts.com / free trial, and you can kick the tires and do whatever you want with it. And certainly use our library of pre-built templates that we have in there. So we want to make this really easy for you to get started and try it out. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming and open it up to any additional questions people might have. Anything at all, let's see. Okay. Michelle just put in the office hours link.
It's actually at 11 a.m. on every
11?
other.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, Mike, we've been missing you at our calls. And thank you, Chad. Appreciate all your quotes. Well, hopefully Mike's been busy closing business and taking care of customers. I'm sure he is. Okay, well, again, thank you all. If you're an existing partner, thank you for your business. If you're new to us, we'd love an opportunity to work with you and partner to better protect your customers. And hopefully we'll see you on another webinar soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Thank you all. Bye.